This is a sound that's close to extinct, the engine of the plane that helped save freedom. Like many World War II warbirds, the P-51 Mustang is slowly disappearing from existence. Once there were over 16,000, today less than 70 can still slice across the sky. This is one of the few painted to honor a group of the most compelling people to fly it. The red tails meant this plane was flown by the Tuskegee Airmen. And even more rare than the plane is a chance to meet one of its pilots. Once there were over 3,000 of them, today fewer than 50 red-tail pilots are still alive. So when 3 were invited to appear at Fantasy of Flight near Orlando, they found an appreciative following. Their history has been well documented in surviving newsreels.
These 5 men were the first of their race to graduate under the Army Air Force's newly organized plan for training Negro pilots.
Their legacy has been immortalized in movies like Red Tails.
We count our victories by the bombers we get to their targets. By the husbands, we return to their wives. By the fathers, we get back to their children.
But meeting 3 in person? Now this was special.
You come here to see us, you should see the movie. Boy, I tell you, you'd think we were greater than we are.
Leo Gray, George Hardy, and Daniel Keel knew they were breaking barriers when they became fighter pilots, but all they were really trying to do was find some way to serve their country.
At that time, blacks who were going into the military, going into the Army, the Navy, you go into the Navy as stewards, doing menial tasks for whoever, and in the Army you get into the quartermaster, lifting 100-pound boxes. I didn't want that. And someone told me about the Air Force and becoming a cadet. I said, at least I won't have to lift 100-pound boxes.
But instead, you had to put up with so many insults and so much indignity.
Well, blacks had to do that anyhow. I mean, that's part of being black.
It certainly was in the 1940s, something white officers made very clear to Daniel Keel.
1, we could not eat in the officers' mess. 2, we could not go in the officers' club. 3, if we go to the base theater, we couldn't sit in the officers' section. And 4, if we go to town, we had to ride the back of the bus. I knew I was in trouble as soon as he said that.
Well, he wasn't the only one. There were flight instructors and Army officers dead set against the idea of African-American pilots. They did everything they could to block them. Of the many who did enlist, only a few made it through.
You see, when my class was sent to Tuskegee to train to become pilots, there were 27 of us. When graduation rolled around, there were only 3 of us left.
But the ones who made it served with honor and distinction, so much so that limited integration of the Army Air Corps began to have an effect on the rest of the country.
The military prior to World War II, even after, was rigidly segregated, the same as society in the South. And the Air Force had a big role in where we are today.
And these men of distinction who served in a war so long ago still have a profound effect on young people today.
I think it was really excellent because they gave me, because I want to go to the Air Force, so they gave me even more, I can't think of
more motivation?
Yes, more motivation to want to do what.
Listening to their story, though, didn't it sort of make you think, gee, maybe it's not something I want to do?
I think they're very brave because they went through segregation. I don't think I could have did that. I don't think I could have did with people talking to me all any way they want. I don't think I could have did that.
I think it's amazing how that they had to go through all this just to fulfill a dream that they had. They wanted to become an airman. They wanted to serve their country, and they had a good intelligence. They were able to fulfill their plans, and I commend them for that.
Their stories were just so amazing. It was almost unbelievable, but you know that they went through it and they did what they had to do.
Did you ever think that this late in life, people would finally come around to respect what you did?
Well, I get shocked when people say they want to grow up and be like me. I say, heaven forbid. But It's not who I am, it's what you represent. And if you are a role model that people aspire to emulate, fine. We need role models. Take them where you can find them.
And as much as we want to hear their stories of the past, their goal is to inspire greatness in the future.
They've made movies about you. There are books out about you. People call all the time, please come and speak to our group. Is that in any way vindication for what you had to go through?
Well, I hope it motivates some young people to aspire for excellence and pursue careers in significant fields, hopefully in aviation and aerospace, but there are other fields that they can go into, but just aspire to excel in whatever they chose.
Thank you so much.
They are well aware that their enemy now is time. They're all in their late 80s, and their numbers are dwindling by the day.
There are 43 red-tail pilots left. 43.
No bitterness, Leo?
I don't have any bitterness, no. I wish things weren't as they were sometimes, but you have to take what you get and cope with it and hope for the best. And if you hang in there long enough, maybe things will change.
The Negro pilot has proved himself a capable, fearless fighter, dangerous and deadly to the enemy, an able defender of the American way of life.
And because of the willingness of these Tuskegee Airmen to tell their stories, their legacy will continue to take flight and provide inspiration for generations.